This is Natural Powerlifting Radio. You're listening to Iron Boy Talk, a drug-free strength and powerlifting podcast with Keith Payne and Rob Wess.
Today we have a special guest. He's one of the very first men to hit an Iron Boy Elite status with a 1,940-pound total in the 275-pound weight class. His best lifts include a 705-pound raw squat, a 585-pound raw bench press, and a 680-pound raw deadlift. He owns multiple records in the USAPL, 100% raw, and of course, IBP. This episode we have a chat with North Carolina Powerlifting and Street Sports Hall of Famer Michael Belk. So let's go ahead and join the conversation.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Mr. West. How you?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful.
Snowed in Charlotte?
No, not too bad.
Yeah,
I mean, we snowed in, but we ain't really snowed in.
Exactly.
Y'all probably got about the same accumulation.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What we got probably about 6-8 inches, I guess. Maybe.
No, we didn't get. We might have got an inch and a half.
Oh, wow.
Wasn't too bad.
Nah, it wasn't bad as they made it out to possibly be.
Not down this way.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the meet Saturday, just to get things rolling here. We had a meet in Spartanburg, our usual Carolina Christmas Classic down there, and we were at the
CrossFit Collision.
Yeah, CrossFit Collision. It's a new name, so I couldn't remember that, but
new venue for them also.
Yep, new venue. We were at Lisa Corcoran's place, and we have run a couple of meets at her old place, so we had switched over to the new building, and it's a really nice place. If you hadn't been down there, it's a really nice venue. They've got a little bit of everything in there, CrossFit. They're working on having a kind of a powerlifting room, and they've got machines and just all kinds of stuff. So if you're in Spartanburg and interested in training, that'd be a good place to check out.
Absolutely.
It was nice.
It was really nice. Had plenty of room, and that's always a good deal when you're trying to run a meet. Everybody had room to move around and warm up and all that kind of thing. But anyway, let's talk about Michael Belk.
Big Mike.
Had a good day yesterday,
yes,
I think. Ended up with a 575 bench press.
Awesome.
And what 46 years old? Is that how old you are? 40,
That's how old I am.
You're kind of an old man to be handling that kind of weight.
Yeah, it was a pretty good day. One of the best meets I've probably had in 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
As far as my bench press totals.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's been 2 or 3 years since we've seen you handle that kind of weight, and it's crazy that anybody can handle that kind of weight, because we're talking about raw lifting. We're talking about I think you were pure raw yesterday, no belt, no wraps.
Yep.
None of that stuff.
Yeah, no pure raw. And at this stage of the game, it's just trying to stay healthy and stop your joints and all that from hurting, and that's a big obstacle now. But
yeah.
Yeah, and I think one thing we should point out real quick is you're doing all this drug free,
right?
Which makes a whole lot of difference as well, especially the older you get. It's really unusual to see anybody handle that kind of weight.
And people that don't know Mike might think otherwise because of his genetic gifts, but that's just what it is. I mean, we all know he's clean as he can be.
Yeah, I get that all the time, and I think a lot of people don't believe me, but the people that know me, you know, there's a lot of God-given ability and good genetics and some hard work too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And the combination of all three. It's truly a blessing to still be able to lift at this age, and especially considering all the pounding I've been doing for the last 15, 20 years. It's truly a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It's been a blessing to us to be part of that journey, at least the more recent years of that journey. It's been pretty awesome to be right there with you when it all happens.
Well, thank you. It's I truly enjoy lifting. It's been a passion of mine ever since I was old enough to lift. So about the last 30 years or better, I've really had a passion for lifting and lifting heavy, and it's just old habits die hard. I hold on to it. A lot of my workout partners and buddies I gave it up and retired, and I'm still holding on.
Yep.
So you got started 15, 16 years old, somewhere around there?
Probably a little earlier than that.
Okay.
I remember, I was telling my son, I remember my dad bought me a weightlifting set from Sears back in the 80s.
The concrete ones?
Yeah. Had 121 pounds. I took everything I had to get that. And that I probably was 12 or 13 or so back then. Maybe a little younger than that. And I just had the bug ever since.
I'm sure you ran out of weight not too long after that.
Well, once I got into we went to junior high school. It wasn't middle school then; it was junior high, and I was a shot putter, and we used to go across the street to South Mecklenburg High School and lift weights, and that was really when I got introduced to the Olympic style steel weight. Okay. I was about 14 then. So that's when I really started lifting I guess you would say the real weights.
Right.
Yeah. So were you just going down to the school, or was it an organized thing where you had coaches, or how did that work?
Well, how it worked at that time, my junior high school was right across the street from the high school, so the coaches would just send us over. So it was kind of a supervised, unsupervised type of workout. I mean, nobody really gave you a plan or anything. I just got with some of the guys over there that was in high school over there at the time, and I just learned some of the basics from them.
Right.
And that's kind of where I got started. And then once I got into high school, I had a high school coach that he was really into the powerlifting, and we had a couple meets even in high school.
Oh, cool.
So that really got me started, and we really enjoyed those. And he really pushed the weightlifting and the powerlifting movements. I was introduced to the deadlift, and we were squatting and power cleaning and all that stuff.
When did you realize, somewhere along the timeline, when did you realize I might be a little different? I can excel in this a little more than the average person?
Well, like I said, I always enjoyed lifting, and even in the, just working out at the Y and other gyms, going a little heavier than most people. Mm-hmm. But my first meet was March of 2002. We went to, I think it's a WMPF down in, matter of fact, we was down around Spartanburg. We was at Furman University.
Yep, I've been there. I know where you're talking about.
and it was my first meet, and I did a 500-pound bench press, and I think it was the biggest bench of the day. So I mean, I didn't really know what I could do or how I compared to others, because like so many other people, when you talk about powerlifting, it's so intimidating.
Right.
But once you get involved, and I tell everybody, I say, once you get involved, I say you can be competitive even if you just lift against your own personal record.
Exactly. Yep.
But at that point, when I got in there and I started competing, I was saying, you know what, I can compete in this. So
Yep.
that's where it started at the WMPF. About 16 years ago.
Wow.
But even in high school, it was I wasn't necessarily the biggest guy in high school, but still we were one of the strongest teams. My football team, we didn't win many football games, but we didn't lose any powerlifting meets.
Yeah.
Powerlifting meets.
I think I think we share the similar journey on our timeline because somewhere around the same time I was doing WNPF, and then I remember you in some USAPL stuff, and then we both ended up in Iron Boy for the last several years. So I think we kind of had the same road to where we are.
Yeah, I've done several USAPL meets. A couple AAU meets.
Yeah.
Some raw, 100% raw meat. So I've been around to a few different federations, but the Iron Boys seem to stick a little better.
And we have a unique family.
Yeah, I really enjoy the lifters, the judges, the crowd. Everybody's really, really nice.
Well, that's we take pride in what we do, and we were proud to have you come on board with us several years ago, and just to have you there to help us judge and be part of that little family is that's a big deal to us, and the friendship from that is the most important thing that we've enjoyed from that. But of course, the obvious is being present and not only judging, but being able to witness the lifts that you've accomplished, within our federation. And so it's been that's top of my list on some of the things that I've enjoyed on my journey is being there for your lifts. I've seen you open with 550, I don't know what, 3 times over the years, and it's just crazy to even think about that. So, there's a lot, that we're proud of to have you there, and, as a lifter and as a friend also.
Well, thank you. That really means a lot. And I tell a lot of people, with powerlifting, it's some of the best guys you'll meet. I mean, you can be lifting against a guy and spotting him and, helping him do whatever you need to do, tighten up his belt. And, y'all can be lifting against each other. It's that type of atmosphere.
Right.
And I really enjoy that,
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's nothing like it. I think powerlifting is one of the sports where you can actually be friendly and get along with somebody back in the warm-up area and then, battle it out on the platform. It's a little different than other sports. Well, so let's get back to the high school thing. You eventually went to college. Where did you go to college?
Well, I started off at North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro right out of high school. And I was there for 3 years. And then I transferred to Mars Hill College, or now university, up just on the other side of Asheville. And that's why I was at my junior and senior year.
Yeah, so you were playing football all that time?
Yes, sir. Played football all 5 years. Fullback, and later switched to outside linebacker, and ended up getting Defensive Player of the Year for the conference, and some All-American honors, All-Region honors. Played in the Division II All-Star game in North Dakota.
Wow.
I really enjoyed playing football.
What was you weighing? What was you weighing then? What was your body weight?
When I reported my freshman year, I was 203, and by the time my senior year came around, I was up to about 225.
Wow.
See, that's something I don't think a lot of people in the powerlifting arena around North Carolina and nationally really understand that you started out as a football player and excelled at playing football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm sure all that time though you were probably training pretty hard with the, lifting and all that for football.
Yeah, that really kept me going. From different schools, different coaches had different philosophies. And like I said, even back when my high school coach, Jim Secord, he really instilled a lot of the powerlifting that stuck with me all through. I still got a chest workout that I do that he gave us. So that's been
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
Almost 30 years ago. But so I give him credit for a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Even if it's 30 years old.
Obviously, something has worked.
Yeah, and I've turned a lot of people on. I get people asking me all the time, Mike, where the chart? And so I've turned a lot of people on to it.
Yeah.
And I tell them, I say, I done had this chart since high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good chart. I really enjoy doing it.
It's definitely working. Well, so I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm just going by memory on this, but I think the first time we saw you do full power at Iron Boy was 2006. I think it was March of 2006 over in Shelby. We were in the mall, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Is that your recollection, or am I off on that?
I think it might have been October.
Or October.
But it was about 6. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that was my first full power meet with Iron Boy.
Yep. I remember it well. That was my second meet. Promoter. It was my second meet, and I had ran across you before in the USAPL meets. Never met you, didn't know who you were until that day. I think we met that day. I might have met you at some Iron Boy meets before that, but you hadn't lifted in. Is that right? I can't recall exactly how that went down, but.
Oh yeah, he'd done
I don't remember.
You had done a lot of Iron Boy meets before then, but I think this was the first
full power. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Because I knew we were, I kind of knew you, but that day I think you actually hit elite that day, right?
You did?
Yes, I did, but I didn't know I had hit elite, but.
You didn't even know it? I've got the
numbers
numbers jotted down here. You had a 705 squat, 585 bench, a 680 deadlift. Well, I don't know if I'm mixing two meets up here. I think it's a 1940. 1940.
Yeah, I had a 700 squat, a 560 bench, and a 680 deadlift. I think that's what it was.
Okay. And then, I'm mixing a couple of meets up here, the numbers, but it was a 1940 total, I believe.
Yes, sir. That was
that was kind of a crazy day, because we were out there in the middle of the mall, and as the thing started, you'd see people walking up and down the mall. Well, they would stop and they'd linger a little bit and move on, but as the day kept rolling, there were several hundred people standing out there watching.
Yep.
And I'm sure you were a big part of that, because I'm sure they'd never seen anything like it. But
that just having the meet, that was the second one we had ran here in Cleveland County, and stuff like that had not been here before, particularly drug free, and that caliber of lifters and all that stuff right there in the middle of the mall. So yeah, most of the people hanging around just had no clue what was happening in front of them. So yeah. They got introduced really good.
that was a really good meet, and I really enjoyed that particular meet. We had a lot of good lifters there that day, and a lot of good numbers.
Mm-hmm. I remember it well. I still got a picture of you from that meet doing your squat. Got it saved on my computer somewhere.
Yeah. I think that was my biggest squat. at that time.
Yeah.
And my biggest deadlift. And I think I got that 6'8" on the 4th attempt.
Golly.
I was feeling pretty good that day.
I don't know, for people that are not involved in powerlifting, they really don't know what they're looking at sometimes. But me and Rob was talking about this earlier, about yesterday. How many people in the building, they're kind of freaked out by what they're looking at, but they really don't know how it racks up in the powerlifting world. They don't really know what they're looking at. To see a 46-year-old man that's drug free and not using any kind of straps or supportive gear, bench 575 pounds. People just don't, they don't realize what they're looking at sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I know it was heavy. I know that much. But,
Well, let's talk about what your workout routine is as far as the bench press, and maybe we can talk about the squat and deadlift a little bit later on. But as it is today, at 46 years old, has your training for the bench, has that changed any, or are you pretty much doing the same volume and same kind of training as you did 20 years ago, or how does that work?
I'm doing a lot of the same training, but say maybe a few years ago I would go twice a week, and now I try to just stick to once a week. I try to keep my volume kind of. I like doing some reps, do mostly pyramids. I got where I like doing drop sets now, whereas before I really wasn't big on the drop set. I was always taught to make your last set your heaviest set, but a lot of times for me mentally, I can set a rep goal. So maybe I don't always have to do a 1 rep max. Sometimes I do, I can tell myself, well, if you can do 4 or 5 for 15, that's a good day. Or if I can get 460 for 10, that'll put me close to 600. So a lot of times I may do some predicted maxes, right, just to kind of help my confidence. And I got where I really like doing boards and chains. That's another part of my workout that I enjoy. Maybe just doing some chain reps or some board presses. I mean, I know a lot of shirt guys do the board presses, but I think that really helps my confidence and give me a chance to feel a heavier weight in a controlled way. So that's my biggest thing right now is the board presses, the chains. And like I said, I still stick with the pyramid reps.
Mm-hmm. So how often are you doing the boards and chains?
Probably about every other week or so. Or, I try to. It depends on who I'm working out with. Everybody, when you're not working out with pure power lifters, sometimes it's it takes a little more to get the other guys interested in what you're doing. But the guys I work out with, they're pretty cooperative. But, sometimes they don't want to do it or we'll skip it. But I usually try to get them at least once or twice a month.
Yeah. So you said you were working twice a week still, or just once a week?
Mostly just once a week now on my bench. I mean, twice a week I enjoy it. I think it really jumpstarts my bench, and but I have to take it easy a little bit on my shoulders, and so I can't quite do as much as I used to. But sometimes on that light day, I sneak in some reps.
Right.
But a lot of times I just kind of take it easy and just wait to chest day.
So what are your accessory kind of work besides the boards and chains? What else do you do?
I like doing the incline bench. That's another one of my favorite exercises. And then sometimes on my accessory day, I do a little bit of shoulder press, a little bit of upright rows. I enjoy doing back. and hadn't been hitting my triceps as hard as I should. But that's something I'm thinking I'm gonna start working on again. Is getting me a little more tricep work in. But other than that, not a whole lot.
Well, I tell you, Saturday, I was impressed where, how your triceps kicked in and you were able to lock that last weight out because, in the past you've had power enough to get it, up to about maybe 4 inches away and couldn't lock it out. But yesterday, really, I keep saying yesterday, it was 2 days ago. Your lockout, it was a little bit of a grind, but you could tell that the power was there yesterday when, in October, you didn't have that lockout power.
Yeah. Well, since that meet in October, I've gotten, I've done 600 a couple of times off the 2 board. So I think that kind of helped my confidence out a lot. And just to hang in there with the weight and keep pushing. Mm-hmm. So like I said, that's the biggest thing I think was the board presses really helped my confidence out. Cause I did 600, one time really, really easy off the 2 board. And the second time I tried it, I did it. It was a little more of a grind. So I've learned to kind of focus a little bit more and not maybe give up as easy.
Yeah.
But I'm continuing to try to work on that lockout.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, it was impressive. Either way you look at it.
Always is,
yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Well, I want to touch on just a few things. I would like to maybe do another podcast or 2 and get really in detail with, what you're doing and the detail of your workouts and how you space your workouts out and all that type of stuff, the volume you do and stuff like that. But we'll leave that to another time. But one of the things that, me and Rob were talking about this earlier. When you come out on the platform, you seem to have a routine. You do the same thing the same way every time we see you. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to ask you what are you thinking about when you walk out there, and what is your routine? What do you go through mentally before you lay down on the bench, and how all that works?
Yeah. I don't know. I just try to focus on what I got to do without psyching myself out. Because I've done that before on the platform. You get so excited and you end up just psyching yourself out. So normally what I usually do is just try to take my time, calm down. On what I like to say is speak to the mountain, and that's usually my routine. Just stretch out my lower back a little bit, and just gather my thoughts and without overthinking it, and then I just try to attack the weight. That's the biggest thing. Just focus without over-focusing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And just try to stay tight and just keep positive thoughts in my head. You got this, you got this, you got this. And because for me, I can psych myself out real easy. Stop thinking negative thoughts. I just try to keep everything positive and just focus, and then just explode. So yeah, I try to do everything the same all the time.
So I would imagine that goes back to your training too. You're probably doing the same thing in your heavy sets or heavy reps during your training as well.
Yeah, that's something else too. Even when like with my son, I'm training him. I try to, if you practice right, that way when you get to the meet, you don't have to think about what you're doing. It's just all natural.
Absolutely.
I tell them, when you come out, hold it for a second, come down, squeeze at the bottom. And so if you can practice it, and when you get to the meet, you won't be thinking about, the press command, the rack command, because you're going to automatically do all that stuff anyway.
Right.
So that's just one thing I try to do, is just have it where I don't have to think about it. It's just natural, just my regular way of lifting. And I think that helps ease a lot of pressure off of you when you're not thinking about the judges or when I'm going to get the press command. Or because I've heard a lot of people say, they held you down there a long time, or that's a slow press. I don't even think about all that. I just go with the, not go with the flow, but, just have it where I don't even think about it. I just hear it and go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think there's a lot to be said, especially when you're talking about getting psyched up. A lot of people will come out there yelling and screaming and banging their head on the bar and stomping around and doing all this madness. But I think there's something to be said for being quiet with your approach, if that's your personality.
Yeah, well, even when I played football, I wasn't a rah-rah guy. I just try to stay focused on what I had to do. And even though I might be rah-rah on the inside, it may not always come out. But,
right.
I think sometimes it distracts me. So that's not me. Now, if it's somebody else, I definitely understand it.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big rah-rah guy most of the time.
Yeah, I think it comes down to your personality, and I don't think there's anything wrong with all that stuff that people do if it's your personality. But if you're doing it to try to act like somebody else and it's not really you,
right?
Yeah,
it shows.
It's a distraction, just like you said, and I think that's why I think the point you made was well worthwhile to think about if you're a younger lifter or a novice lifter.
Yep.
The key is be who you are when you walk out there. And do it the way you need to do it instead of trying to copy somebody else.
Yep.
Yeah. I like the rah-rah guys. I mean, they get me going. But that's just not,
It doesn't turn you on. Doesn't press your button.
Sometimes I get riled up, where it is show, but most of the time I try to, like I say, focus and channel that energy. I think I can use that energy in the lift.
That's a key thing right there. Like you said, you can get over focused and you can get oversight, and you're using that adrenaline up.
Yeah.
If you're not careful, Yeah,
I've been down that road and just psych myself all out and just mess the whole contest up for myself.
Yep.
So, and then a lot of times for me too, if I can focus ahead of time what I'm gonna do, that makes a difference for me. So if I can plan out my lifts, I mean, I know that may not work for everybody, but for me, if I can plan out my lifts, what I'm gonna do, and I can meditate and think on that all week long, or even 2 weeks or wherever you set your goals at, I can think about that all week long. Like I've been thinking about 575, ever since the last meet.
Right.
So, and that's another thing that works for me. Just, I don't go there on the fly. Oh, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that. No, I got my list planned out, what I'm gonna do, lift by lift, and I found I really need to stick to that. I've gotten let people talk me out of that before, and it usually don't work out in my favor. So I usually stick to my guns, stick to my plan, and that usually works best for me.
And that comes with experience, being a seasoned lifter in this sport. You've got to go through all those things that work and don't work, and you finally settle into what does work and what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, and that's what works for me. Just having my lifts planned out and sticking with them. Because when I get to the meet and try to change up and listen to a lot of other people, it usually don't work out for me.
That's true.
Well, along those same lines, talking about the competitions and all, recently we've had a few questions and seminars and talking to other folks at the gym and all. The subject of warming up before you come out to the platform, do you have a certain plan or regimen that you go through when you know you warming up before you come out to the platform? Is that something that is always the same, or does it change meet to meet, or how does that work for you?
It usually stay pretty consistent to what I do. I know a lot of people tell me I warm up too much, but I have to be hot when I get out there. I mean, I can't. I've heard of guys saying they warm up at 315, open up with 600. I don't know that I could do that. So yeah, my warm up stay about the same. I usually go up to 500, anywhere from 500 to 515, just depending upon my opening attempts. Like Saturday, I went to 515 for a double, and that was enough to get me going. And I think my opener was 540, so I went up to 25 pounds to my opener. So that's usually what I do. I know a lot of people have criticized and said I do too much, but yeah. I don't know if I could open up with, warm up with 405 and open up with 540.
I agree with you.
I get pretty close to my opening attempt before I can really feel confident.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that helps my confidence. If I can do like in the back, I did 515 for a double, and I paused the second one. So I say, well, I'm feeling pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So my warm up stay about the same. I used to start off with 8 to 10 reps, and just go and just pyramid up to 500 or so.
So what did that look like Saturday? What was the first thing you put on the bar, and how many reps, and where did you go from step to step to step till you got to the 5 whatever?
I think I might have did 135 for 20, and then I went 225. Then I think I went 295 for 8, 385 for 6, 445 for 4, and then I did 515 for 2.
Wow, so you do a lot of volume back there.
On the lighter weight, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I usually try to start off and give myself plenty of time. I probably one of the first ones back there warming up.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's just how I do it.
That's very interesting because I have a similar approach. I like to give myself time and get moving with a lot of light reps, get the blood flowing, and then slow everything down as it gets heavier and less reps. So it's real similar to what you're talking about. So I can relate to, what you're thinking there, your mindset and how it makes you feel.
Yeah, that's how I've been doing it. And it seems, like I said, it works for me. I don't like to make too big of jumps.
Right.
In weight. So like I said, I usually, go up to 500 to 515. I have one as high as 545, but that was a long time ago.
Well, I saw you back there probably 2 hours before the meet started, messing around, doing a few lat pull downs and all that mess. And I'm hearing you say you need to be warm. So did you just tinker around for a while to just get your body temperature up and all that kind of thing even before you start benching, or is that something that I just thought I saw you doing?
Yeah, I will throw a couple of lat pull downs in there and a couple of dumbbell curls. I don't know, for somebody, I like to get a little tight in my arms a little bit and my back. Not too much, but yeah, I usually do a lot of that. I try not to do any tricep work or anything like that, but I will do some bicep curls and some lat pull down. So yes, you did see me doing that. That's pretty par for the course. I will do that. About every chance I get.
Well, it's real interesting because, everybody's different. And, some folks are totally the opposite. They're going to do the least that they can do to where they feel like they're warm enough. And I've seen that work. It just depends on, who you are and what you like and what you need to do. I don't think there's really a book on that other than, I have seen people, well, we're talking novice lifters and people that hadn't been doing it for too long. They'll actually go back there sometimes and try to hit their opener before they come out to the platform. And
yeah, I've seen that too.
That's kind
of. But normally I try to hit my opener the week before. On my last training the week before the meet, I usually try to do my opener then.
Right.
And I try to make my opener pretty conservative, not too astronomical, just something that's going to be just heavy enough to get me started. But I try not to make my opener, a PR or anything like that. But and that really helps me too. If I can hit my opener, and I always tell myself, it's just the way I talk to myself. If I can do it in the gym, I know I can do it in the meet.
Right.
Exactly.
But that's usually my thinking that I get my best lift in the meet.
Right.
Yep. And you're talking about your opener, and I think a lot of kids out there, like I say, novice lifters, they don't realize they need to be trusting their training and understand that when they get to the meet, they're going to be able to do what they've trained to do instead of, they'll get back there in the warm-up area and try to, like I say, hit their openers to give their self-confidence that they can go out there 15 minutes later and do it again, which is, kind of ridiculous. But I think what it amounts to is, they don't understand how to trust their training and just warm up and go out there and do what they need to do on the platform.
Yep. That opening weight should be a staple in your training all along, and you should be handling that weight in some form as you go.
Yep.
Shouldn't be a shock or anything that intimidates you or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. You should be already familiar with it.
I know. I was always told that your opener should be something you could do for a triple.
Right. Yep.
It's the rule of thumb that most people tell me to follow, and that's usually what I tell any novice lifter: just get on the board, get your confidence, because it's nothing like missing that first lift. I mean, sometimes it's hard to bounce back from that. So that's what I tell everybody. Make your opening attempt pretty conservative, and just get on the board.
Right.
Once you get on the board, then you can go from there. But just always get on the board.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, let's move on to the squat. Hit the highlights of how you squat training, what it looks like. How do you train it? Do you train it once a week, twice a week? What your volume might be and all that kind of thing?
Yeah. Hadn't been doing a whole lot of squatting here lately, but when I was squatting,
there you
go. I would once a week with all I would train my squat. When I was squatting, my squat always seemed to move quick, from week to week. I really used to love squatting. Like I said, until I kind of tweaked my back a little bit. But my volume was, I was going to the gym. They had all kind of leg equipment over there, and I would just kind of smash my leg. to the point that, you could hardly walk when you left the gym, between squatting and leg pressing, and we had all kind of variable squatting machines and hamstrings, and I used to really, really enjoy my squat. Yeah, I trained my squat a lot, like I did my bench with the pyramid, using some charts, and maybe even some drop sets at the end.
So you used a lot of machines and stuff, leg presses, leg curls, and extensions, and all that kind of stuff.
I never really been a real big fan of the leg extension, but you, for me, I know you hadn't been in a while, but the Fitness Factory, they have all kind of equipment, from hack squats to, kind of the, I don't know the name of it, but it's all kind of squat machines. They had a bunch of different variables. I mean, you could always keep your leg workout fresh. I mean, you had so many things to choose from, so many options. And I think that was really pivotal in my squat training. But I kept my volume pretty high. But like I said, I was only doing it about once a week. And I really enjoyed it. And then also, even now when I squat, I still squat I like to use the chains a lot. I think they help work a lot of your stabilizer muscles. And I like to feel of the chains when I'm squatting.
What about on your deadlift? Do you just work that stuff in, or do you have a deadlift program you tie into it, or how did you approach that?
My deadlift, I just deadlifted. I didn't do anything special. Never was very good at rack pulls and all that kind of stuff. We did at the gym get one of the reverse hyper machines. I actually enjoyed doing that one as some accessory work. Right. And like I said, try to keep my hamstrings strong. And for me, deadlift was just all about trying to have good technique. Because, one thing I tell a lot of people, when you deadlift, and if your technique is bad, it's going to be really, really hard to pull that up with your lower back. So that was one of the big things with me on my deadlift, and trying to keep my hand strength up, so you could hold the weight.
Right.
But like I said, my biggest thing was just trying to keep my butt down and my head up, and drive with my legs. So that was my biggest thing on deadlift, is just trying to get my technique down and having really good form, and trying to take as much of my lower back out of it as I could, and put most of it on my, my legs. Which I was a fair deadlift. It wasn't the greatest, but I enjoyed doing all three lifts. I don't know what was my favorite at the time. I know what it is now, but back then I don't know what my favorite was.
I think it was bench then too.
Yeah. Well, the frequency of the deadlift. I mean, how many times did you deadlift a week or a month, or how often did you get in there and just really bust that deadlift workout?
Usually it was just once a week.
Was that a separate day than the squat, or was it on the same day as you squat, or how did that work?
Yeah, it was usually on a separate day. Usually on a separate day, because, like I said, even with my squat, my volume was pretty high on all of my leg stuff. So my lower back usually be shot after that, so it couldn't handle deadlift in that same day. So my deadlift day, I usually put it in with my upper back. But that was just the way I did it. Deadlifting, and then did some upper back stuff. So usually just once a week is when I train. The bench was about the only thing I did twice a week. And on my second day of bench, it would usually be like a rep day. When I give myself a rep challenge, how many times I can do 4 or 5 or 365 or something like that. I usually stopped about 4 or 5 on my second day of bench. So I used to work out about 4 days a week. It was chest twice, squats and deadlifts.
So you're one of those guys that could deadlift heavy every week and get away with it.
Fairly heavy. I mean, I wouldn't try to, too many 1-rep maxes, but fairly heavy. I mean, that's just in my whole training cycle. I know a lot of people would tell me they don't know how I do it, especially with getting back to the bench. I mean, I could bench that week, do a contest that Saturday, and be back in that Monday benching again.
Wow, that's crazy.
But I don't do that. I don't do that much now, but back then I've seen a time where I've done a bench press contest 3 out of 4 weekends out of a month and didn't miss a workout. Wow. And
well,
I guess I'm
gonna tell you, most of us mere mortals can only deadlift once every 2 weeks if we're lucky. So I envy that once every week thing, and I know there's people out there that can do that, but there's far more people.
And there's a lot that think they can do it.
There's far more people out there that can't, but they think they can, and
exactly,
that doesn't work out real well for most people. But man, that's a luxury.
Yeah, but I usually push it pretty hard. Used to a lot more than I do now.
Yeah.
Of course, family life and age and all that slow you down a lot.
Yep. So you're married, you got 2 kids, and you got a job.
2.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah, that's as far as my competing too, because I have a weekend job, and it takes a lot of my Saturdays. Actually, I was supposed to be at work this past Saturday, and I finagled my way to get off.
Yeah.
But I work a lot of Saturdays, so that cuts into my competing a lot, or even just showing up to a meet.
Well, that's another good point for our novice folks and lifters that hadn't been doing this a while, and we focus a lot here at Iron Boy on the novice lifters and people coming into the sport. And that's a huge point to make, that get it done, get your numbers in when you're younger if you can, because life will set in at some point and you won't be able to do what you can do right now. So that's one thing to think about, because once you get married and you've got a job and you've got all these other things going on, a lot of us had opportunity to help our parents and stuff as they aged, and things just happen, and you don't get to do all the workouts and all the stuff that you need to do or want to do at a later age.
Yeah, a lot of obstacles can get in the way.
So that's what makes what you did Saturday even that more impressive, to be able to do it at the age you're doing it, and be able to do it, as life has moved on and more responsibilities have come along the way, that you're able to do what you do is just impressive.
But thank you, and you're so true. It takes, having a good spouse and a lot of determination between the children playing sports, and I got a son now. I think he want to play every sport out there, and so between football, wrestling, lacrosse.
I know he's getting his feet wet on the platform.
Yeah, now I got him lifting a little bit.
Yep.
So it really, time is of the essence. When you can squeeze one in somewhere here or there. So yeah, it's best to get it in while you can, before you get a lot of responsibilities, and because your family gonna come first.
That's right.
Especially when you got children, and And sometimes even your spouse may be a little demanding, but it's truly a blessing just to still be able to lift and be involved.
That is so true.
Saturday was a really good day.
Yeah, it was. Well, I tell you what, while we're on the subject, what do you think about all these women that are getting into sport? Isn't it, that's a lot different than it used to be, isn't it?
It is. I really enjoy seeing that. Because usually it's only one or two, here or there, unless it's a big meet. And just being in fitness and working in fitness, you always, women are always kind of nervous and apprehensive about coming in the weight room. And so a lot of times I tell the women, I say, come on in, nobody's going to bother you. I mean, it's so intimidating to so many women, and so many women think they're going to look like a man. Yeah. And it's just good to see that those stereotypes are, it's not true. I mean, you can still be very feminine and in shape and lift weights. And that's what I tell a lot of them. I say, you know what? No, weightlifting is not going to make you like a man. So just come on in. I mean, it's, most people here, they're going to be very nice in the weight room. They're intimidated, think they're going to bite their heads off. And I tell them, do you have any questions? Come on in. If you don't know how to do exercise, just ask somebody. But to get back to your question, it was really, really good to see all the women there and having such a good time and hitting PRs and doing all the great things the powerlifters love to see.
Yeah.
Right.
I would imagine 50% of the lifters that competed Saturday were female or close to it. I mean, it's just the last 2 or 3 years, last 2 years, really, we've seen a rise in the participation level of female lifters. And like you said, 15, 20 years ago, you might have had one or two at a meet, maybe, sometimes none. So it's real good to see the participation level move like it has recently.
And the competition that comes with it. They're very competitive, whether against each other or themselves.
That's right.
So it's pretty cool.
Really neat.
Yeah, like I said, it's also good to see women in there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the women's MMA. I mean, at first it was kind of, people were resistant to it, and now it's
mainstream.
You just as soon watch the women fight as the men.
Yeah. Right. That is cool.
So.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's very encouraging too. And like I say, they bring such an intensity and a passion to what they're doing as well. They're not as I guess as reserved as a lot of the men are. If they're excited, you know it.
Yep. Well, Mike, I guess unless Rob's got any more questions, we'll wind this thing up.
I'm good, man. Like I said, I've enjoyed the years with you in the sport. It's been awesome to witness what you've done, and I'm proud to have you as a friend, and I always look forward to seeing you.
Well, thank you, sir. I feel the same way. Actually, I was just on the website this morning looking at some of your records.
Uh-oh.
I said,
heck. Them things got some dust on them.
We're getting ready to wipe that dust out, though.
Well, maybe a couple of them.
Yeah. Well, listen, Mike, I do want to say this, and I don't talk a whole lot in the public about folks, but I just wanted to say that we started Iron Boy Powerlifting in 2001, and if I'm not mistaken, you were at the first meet. I know you were at the second meet, and you've been with us for, we're going on 18 years now, and I just wanted to say, on this podcast, how much we have enjoyed the trip, so to speak, and
absolutely.
And we've enjoyed, like like Rob said, your friendship and the kind of person that you are. And anybody that knows Michael Belk knows what I'm talking about. And we are indebted to you for your participation and what you've brought to Iron Boy Powerlifting through the years. And I just wanted to say that first thing before we wind this thing up. And I hope our listeners, I hope people do tune in and listen to this today. And like I say, I hope we can do more of these in the future. But I did want to say that before we signed off today. And like I say, we appreciate everything you and your family's done for us, and hopefully we've got some more out there in the future that we can do. But anyway, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I
sir.
appreciate y'all as well, and for putting up with me this long. I thank y'all too.
It's been tough, but we found a way.
We made it work.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Right back at you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy it every minute.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Once again, we'd like to thank Michael Belk for having a chat with us, and we'd like to thank all of you for listening. But don't forget that February 2nd is the Western Carolina Powerlifting Open in Morganton, North Carolina. Join us as we kick off the new powerlifting season.
Please subscribe, and thank you for listening. Be sure to follow @Iron Boy Powerlifting on social media for all the latest updates.